Hello friends, welcome back to JKSC, JK Shah classes, Veranda Enterprise, part 2 of the revision lecture of search and seizure. In part 1, we discussed couple of points and I told you that there are 13 concepts to be studied in this chapter. We finished till section 133, that is 133 subsection 6, power to call for information. Now we will be discussing survey. But before that, let me just briefly recapitulate. We finish 8 concepts. Section 132, search, we finished 3 circumstances under which search is possible. Along with that, we discussed 3 conditions also. Which 3 conditions? The authorized officer should have reason to believe based on information in his possession. Based on information, he should have reason to believe. And he should have authorization from higher authority. Authorization is nothing but search warrant. Thereafter, we discuss again in section 132, 9 plus 1, 10 powers during the course of search. Why we say 9 plus 1? Because 10th one is a negative power. Thereafter, we discuss section 132 4a, presumptions. 4 plus 1, 5 presumptions which can be applied with regards to, or assumptions which can be applied with regards to books of accounts, documents or assets found during the course of search. Thereafter, we came to section, again here only we discussed about concept of requisition, 132a, requisition. These 5 presumptions were important, as I told you, you need to keep them in your mind. Presumptions. Thereafter, we came to section 132.8 again, 132.8 to section 132.12, which is manner of utilization of books of accounts and documents which are seized or requisition. Thereafter, we came to section 132b, which is manner of utilization of assets which are seized or requisition as a result of search. Requisition itself is unimportant point, but there is a reference of requisition every now and then in couple of sections of this chapter as well as couple of upcoming chapters. Therefore, you should be knowing what is requisition. We discussed earlier. Thereafter, we came to section 133, 133.6, power to call for information. Power to call for information, any information can be called upon from anybody which is useful or relevant for any proceeding which is pending under the Income Tax Act. There should be some proceeding pending either against the person from whom the information is called upon, or proceeding should be pending against the person whose information is called upon. In relation to JK Shah classes, assessment of JK Shah classes, 133.6 requisition comes to you from Income Tax Department. Either proceeding should be pending against you or there should be proceeding pending against JK Shah classes. If no proceeding is pending, then this power can be exercised only by principal CIT or CIT or with the prior approval of CIT, PCIT. Now proceeding further, next is survey. There are 3 types of survey. Survey is nothing but a surprise visit. Unlike search, here lesser number of powers are available. Here there is no power to break open the lock, there is no power to search any person. Search can be conducted at any time during the year, any time during the day, can be conducted even at middle of the night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, middle of the night. Unlike that, survey can be conducted only during working hours. That's one of the difference. Lesser number of powers are available. Search can be conducted in residential premises also, but survey cannot be conducted or cannot be started with the residential premises. Survey concept was introduced in 1975 somewhere. Search was there since the inception, but survey was introduced later on. Let us try to understand. There are 3 types of survey. First is the original survey, which is normal survey under section 133A subsection 1. Then 133A subsection 5 is a second type of survey. This is survey with regards to function, ceremony or event. We call it as FCE, function, ceremony, event. Here IT officers, of course with the approval of higher authority, IT officers can attend the function, ceremony or event, any kind of function. This survey is directed against those people who disclose very negligible income in the IT return, 6-7 lakh, 8 lakhs per annum, but end up spending crores of rupees on their functions in their family. some politicians, B category, C category politicians, they spend 15 to 20 crore rupees on their wedding functions in their house, but disclose income of maximum 10 lakh rupees a year. Third is a survey under 133(2)A, which is survey relating to TDS TCS. Why three divisions of survey? Reason, all the three types of survey have different types of restriction and different types of rules, regulation or terms, condition. That's why we need to understand. Most important is the first survey, normal survey, which is in detail. Other two surveys are less important. TDS TCS survey, IT officer will come and check whether assessee is complying with the TDS TCS provisions on time or not, whether deducting TDS or collecting TCS on time or not, then depositing TDS TCS with government account by 7th of the next month or not within the time limit, filing TDS TCS statement on time or not, issuing TDS TCS certificate to the other party on time or not. So, starting with survey, three types of surveys as we discussed. First survey 133A1. Now here IT officers with the approval of higher authority. Earlier approval had to be taken of joint commissioner or joint director, but during corona time, corona lockdown, somewhere in November 2020, government changed it. Now approval has to be taken of principal director general or principal chief commissioner or chief commissioner. With the approval of higher authority, these authorities can enter any premises or any place within the area of jurisdiction assigned to them, provided there is a business, profession or activity of charitable nature carried out thereon. Meaning thereby, survey under this 133A1 cannot be undertaken at a place which is not used for business, profession or charitable activity. Meaning thereby, survey cannot be at the place which is residence of the assessee. It has to be at that place where business, profession is carried on. It could be assessee's office, shop, showroom, godown, warehouse, factory, etc. What exactly can they do? 5 things can be done during the course of survey under 133A1. 3 things with regards to books of accounts, 1 thing with regards to assets, and last thing is with regards to demanding information. As far as books of accounts are concerned, first 3 points, they can check or inspect books of accounts documents. Second point, they can do 3 more things. They can place marks of identification, that is tick mark. They can take copies therefrom or they can take extracts therefrom. Third point, they can even seize books of accounts. Books of account documents can be retained, original I am talking about. Photocopies they can retain lifetime. Original they can retain up to 15 working days. In case they want to retain beyond 15 working days, then prior approval of higher authority, CCIT, principal CCIT, DGIT, principal DGIT, etc. shall be required and reasons will have to be recorded in writing. Next point is about assets. As far as assets are concerned, whether forming part of stock in trade or otherwise, including cash balance, here they can just check or verify. Means they can do physical count, they can inspect, they can check. Assets cannot be seized as a result of survey. For seizing assets, they have only one remedy or one option available, that is search and requisition. And last, they can require any person to furnish information as may be demanded by them. Here there are some timing restrictions. But before that, explanation to 133A1 says that normally survey has to take place at that place where business profession is carried on or activity of charitable nature. However, if business profession is carried on from the residence, once question came in the exam that what if business profession is carried on from the residence? Then in such situation, if only part of the residence is used for business profession, then survey has to take place only in that part. Say assessee has 3 BHK house and only 1 bedroom is used for office, then survey has to be restricted to that part. But if assessee has not dedicated any particular part in his residence for business profession, then survey can take place in the entire house. Though it's a residential property, but business profession is carried on, therefore survey is possible. So initially explanation says that survey has to take place at that place where business profession is carried on. But in case if assessee claims that any of his books of accounts, documents or assets relating to business profession or charitable activity, any of his books of accounts, documents or assets relating to business profession or charitable activity are kept at some other place, including his CA office, including his accountant's office, including his residence, then survey can be extended to that place also. meaning thereby initially survey has to take place at the office premises. Later on, IT officers can come to assessee's house also if assessee himself claims that books of accounts are kept at residence. Other place will include assessee's residence also, will include assessee's CA's office also, popularly called as extension of survey. Entry restriction, this is very important. Most past exam questions are based on this only. There is a restriction with regards to entry to the place of survey. Place of survey could mean original place of survey or the place where survey is extended. Could be assessee's residence, could be CA office. Entry to the place of survey has to be during working hours, means during those hours at which such place is kept open for conduct of business or profession. But entry to the other place has to be after sunrise, before sunset. Many people goof up here. After sunrise, before sunset. One student of mine in mock test exam earlier, he had goofed up, he mixed up between sunrise and sunset. So he ended up mentioning after sunset, before sunrise. Don't do that, keep it in your mind, be careful. However, these are only entry restriction. Once they validly enter, there is no restriction on the exit, meaning thereby survey can go on beyond sunset also, survey can go on beyond 24 hours also. The maximum number of time for which survey was conducted, which I have heard, is 72 hours, that is 3 consecutive days. Okay, so that I have mentioned here, this is entry restriction, not for exit. Next is 133A5, on which question has come only once. Survey relating to function, ceremony or event conducted in the assessee's family or beyond family also. Now here, function, ceremony, event need not be at the office or at the residence of the assessee. Here, entry restrictions that we discuss are not applicable to 133A subsection 5. Here they can enter after sunset also, whenever function is going on. However, IT officers, of course with the approval of higher authority, they can come and attend the function and make a survey of expenditure incurred in that function, ceremony, event. They can, after the conclusion of the survey, after the conclusion of function, ceremony, event, they can record the statement. Whose statement? Answer, they can record the statement of either of the two people. Number one, they can record statement of person who has incurred the expenditure, that is assessee, or any person who may be in possession of vital information. It could be assessee's relative, friends, guest, decorator, caterer, anybody. However, only after conclusion of the function. Function should not be disturbed, function cannot be stopped midway. And secondly, here statement recording does not take place on oath, meaning thereby assessee can retract his statement, assessee can change his statement. Assessee can later on argue that, sir, during the concurrency of function, you asked me questions in front of everyone, you asked me questions in front of my relative, so I had to lie. Now I am making a correct statement, my earlier statement should be discarded, this is my correct statement. That is possible here, earlier statement will then be discarded. If there is a search and upon conclusion of search, when Panchnama is recorded, that is statement recording takes place under search, then there the statement recording takes place on oath. Even in the preceding section, section 131, the preceding section of previous chapter, last section of previous chapter, and in section 132, these two places statement recording takes place on oath, where retraction not possible. But in 133A, 3 types of survey, statement recording takes place without oath. Therefore, assessee can retract his statement. That is the difference between statement recording on oath and without oath. However, the person who has incurred the expenditure, after the survey is over, assessee will be questioned that according to us, you have incurred 20 crore rupees. Now you provide satisfactory explanation with regards to source of expenditure. If assessee is unable to explain, then provisions of section 69C will be invoked, that is unexplained expenditure. And on that, on the amount of unexplained expenditure, department will apply section 115BBE also. What is 115BBE? Flat 60% tax rate on 6 incomes covered by section 68 to 69D plus 25% of the tax as a surcharge irrespective of amount involved plus 4% health and education cess. Effective rate is 78%. Under the chapter, if you recollect, we had discussed it in chapter 12, special rates of tax. Effective rate will be 78%. And if assessee does not cooperate, means assessee does not permit entry in the function, ceremony, event, then section 131 can be invoked, meaning thereby as per 131, if you recollect, all the powers of civil court under CPC 1908 are available, meaning thereby these people can take help of police and forcibly enter the function ceremony event. Last point, survey can be converted into search. As I told you, survey is nothing but surprise visit. Initially when it was introduced in the form of rehearsal of search, meaning thereby whenever they have information for search, once upon a time when internet was not there, department after receiving information for search, they had very limited resources available to investigate into the matter. IT officers were always in a puzzling situation that whenever information is received, whether they should jump upon the search or not. Reason, 99% case, information is received from an unknown person. The informant does not disclose his identity. He would want to stay anonymous. In such situation, department was always in a puzzling situation whether to jump upon the search and conduct the search based on information from an anonymous person or not. Because 99% cases informant wants to stay anonymous. In such situation, many a times what used to happen was information about search was false information or misguiding information. Things are not found, money etc. not found according to the search, according to information. So in such situation, department used to be in a very puzzling situation. Whenever assessee would file a case against department and department has to clarify the reasons why the search is conducted, department used to have a very big question mark on their face. Finally, it was decided that there should be some proceeding similar to search, having lesser powers, but whereby department has not to, or nobody can question department, department is not answerable to anybody. Accordingly, survey proceedings were initiated. So initially, whenever information is received for search, department would not jump to search, department will start with survey. The officer coming for survey will carry search warrant in his pocket, he will not take it out. During the course of survey, if any incriminating books of accounts documents are found, then immediately survey will be converted into search. Search warrant they already have in their pocket, we will immediately take it out and then exercise all the powers. 133A subsection 2A TDS TCS survey, this is totally unimportant. Here entry will be after sunrise, before sunset. Here entry will be to that place which is within the jurisdiction of the officer, within the area of jurisdiction, plus at which books of accounts documents are kept. For earlier survey, what was it? 133A subsection 1. Subsection 1, entry will be to that place where business profession is carried on or activity of charitable nature are carried on. Here 133A subsection 5, second survey, there is no such restriction. Here wherever function ceremony event is carried on. But 133A subsection 2A TDS TCS survey, here entry will be to that place which is within the area of jurisdiction of the officer. Of course, he has to have approval of higher authority, plus at which business profession is carried on, that condition is not there. It should be a place where books of accounts documents are kept. And then he can require the deductor of TDS or collector of TCS or any other person who may be attending, that is accountant of the assessee, to provide them with a necessary inspection facility to inspect books of accounts documents. Books of accounts documents cannot be seized. Forget about assets. Assets can definitely not be seized. Here in 133A subsection 1, books of accounts can be seized, retained for 15 working days. Assets cannot be seized. 133A subsection 5, function ceremony event, no powers except of recording statement. Assets cannot be seized, books of accounts cannot be demanded also. Here books of accounts cannot be seized, assets out of question. They can require necessary inspection facility and require such information to be provided to them as may be demanded by them. Remember, entry to the place of such survey can be after sunrise, before sunset. Up till now questions have not come on this 133A subsection 2A survey. Next is 133B. 133B is also one type of survey. So I would say 4 types of survey, but 133B is not considered as survey actually. Here they don't actually do any survey. Survey basically means surprise visit plus searching for something. Survey, conducting, watching, observing and noting down the observations. But here in 133B, they don't search anything, they don't observe anything, they don't do anything. Under 133B, officer, of course with the approval, officer will come and he will come with a questionnaire in a pre-printed form, form number 45D, which contains 14 pre-printed questions. They will ask questions to assessee, assessee will reply. Whatever answers are given by assessee, 14 questions are pertaining to assessee's normal information: name, address, PAN number, GST number, total sales turnover, how many heads of income he reports income, how much income was reported, how much was his turnover, bank account details, etc. 14 details are asked. Then his signature will be taken and the date will be jotted down. As per rule 112E, form number 45D, except of this, no other powers are available. This power can be exercised, or this survey can be done by AO or ITO. AO means 5 people, additional CIT, joint CIT, deputy CIT, assistant CIT and ITO. Entry to this place of survey, entry here will be during normal working hours. Fortunately or unfortunately, though this section is unimportant, it is institute's favorite. So please mark it as an important. Institute has asked couple of questions based on this. Most of the questions are based on, or in fact all of the questions were based on entry restriction, timing, during working hours only. This kind of survey cannot be extended to residents or cannot be extended to any other place. Question of extending this survey does not arise, because here officer will just come and ask questions given in form 45D. Form 45D is in the form of questionnaire. Assessee does not comply, then there will be penalty under section 272AA, which is maximum 1000 rupee. Meaning thereby penalty can range between 1 rupee to 1000 rupee. 133C is verification of information. This section was introduced by Arun Jaitley ji, but up till now not a single question has ever come, and this section is not of a great importance. Here title is verification of information, meaning thereby information is already available with the department. They already have the information. Earlier sections 133(6) title was power to call for information, means here information is not available, they are calling for information. Information they are gathering, but in 133C they already have the information, but the information is not strong enough to conduct a search. So this is power to verify or verification of information, whereby for example information is received from some tabloid newspaper, which information, the veracity, the genuineness of information is not verifiable. So here they will do, they will directly contact assessee by issuing notice asking assessee to clarify or confirm or refuse, along with supporting documentary evidence, confirm or refuse to confirm the information which department has in its possession. For example, number of years back, around 10 years back, there was one information published in local newspapers that Amitabh Bachchan, Bollywood actor, and his daughter-in-law Aishwarya Rai Bachchan, they have opened a bank account with a bank called Mosaic Fonseca Bank. Mosaic Fonseca Bank, located in Panama Island, Central America. Panama Island is a tax haven country. It's an island country but a tax haven country where there is no income tax. Just like Switzerland, they also provide secrecy, but this information got leaked out saying that there is one bank account in this bank in the name of Amitabh Bachchan and Aishwarya Rai Bachchan. So what depart? This is just an example without any prejudice mind to anybody. This information turned out to be false later on. So here what will happen is, officer from Centralized Processing Center Bengaluru, we will call him as not AO, but we will call him as Prescribed Income Tax Authority. Prescribed Income Tax Authority will issue notice to them and ask them that we have got information that you people are having account with so and so bank opened in the year 2017, February 2017. So please show us your passport copy. Tell us whether you have been to this country, Panama Island, in the past or not. If you have been there, for what reason you have been there, vacation or for work related, and have you opened a bank account here? If yes, what is the bank account number, how much deposit you made? Such kind of questions will be asked. Assessee will be required to reply back within the time limit given in the notice. On this section, questions are not possible. Here, proceeding will be done in a faceless manner, as given in section 135A. 135A is faceless proceeding under this chapter. Certain proceedings under this chapter will be in a faceless manner, but main proceedings, search, survey, etc. cannot be done in a faceless manner. Search cannot be done digitally by sitting in a remote location. For that, officers have to personally come. Okay, 135A, 1st November 2020, after lockdown, it was converted into faceless proceeding. Here, no powers are available. Nothing can be done except of verifying the information. Information will be verified by not local AO but by officer located in Bengaluru CPC. And then whatever information he receives, whatever confirmations that he receives from Amitabh Bachchan or Aishwarya Rai Bachchan, he will process that information and he will inform, he will process plus utilize that information for any proceeding. Of course, then he will keep the local AO in the loop. Outcome of this processing, the information received from Amitabh Bachchan will be processed and whatever is the outcome will be shared with the local AO and then local AO will take necessary action if required. 134 is again useless section, but just for the sake of your information, this empowers Income Tax Authority to demand for register of shareholders, inspect the register of shareholders or debenture holders or mortgages of the company, ideally private company, can be done for public company also. Normally, for a company, if somebody wants information about shareholders, etc., then as per Companies Act, you must have studied at Inter CA. The person requiring information has to acquire or subscribe to at least one equity share. He has to purchase one equity share. Plus, he has to pay the necessary inspection fees. 50 rupees or 100 rupees, some nominal charges are there. But income tax officer, authorized officer can inspect the register of shareholder, debenture holder without payment of this fees and without acquiring single share. Section 79A, on which questions have not come but slightly an important section. This is the part of set off and carry forward of losses, chapter 6. Set off and carry forward of losses chapter. This point I have covered in that chapter also. Section 70 till section 80. Section 70 to 80 is chapter 6. Set off and carry forward. Here it says that no set off carry forward will be allowed for two things: brought forward loss or current year loss under any head and brought forward unabsorbed depreciation. These two items will not be allowed to be set off against undisclosed income of the current year, which is unearthed because of search or because of survey or acquisition. So, any unabsorbed depreciation or any loss, whether it is a brought forward loss or current year loss, no set off will be permitted. This section was introduced recently, 3 years back only. Question has not yet come, can come anytime. Keep it in your mind. Ideally, it will come in the nature of MCQ. No set-off will be allowed against undisclosed income which is found out as a result of search or requisition or survey. Survey under 133A other than 133A 2A. 133A to subsection 2A means TDS TCS survey. TDS TCS survey, ideally no undisclosed income will be unearthed. Undisclosed income will be found out as a result of normal survey under 133A subsection 1 or under subsection 5 function ceremony event related survey. 135A faceless proceeding, totally unimportant, and 138 power to disclose the information of assessee. Power to disclose information, this is again unimportant. Normally when we file IT return, we furnish our confidential information to department. In IT return we disclose our name, address, that is okay, PAN number, Aadhaar card number. We disclose our email ID, bank account details, bank account number, IFSC code. We declare or we disclose our level of income, level of turnover, net profit, etc. How many companies we are shareholders, private company, how many companies we are director, how many partnership firms we are partner in. All these confidential information we disclose in the IT return. We expect CBDT and Income Tax Department to maintain confidentiality. So department is not allowed to share information with anybody. However, Income Tax Department can share our information with GST Department or any other department of government. Same concept in GST also. GST Department can share information with Income Tax Department. In Form 26AS and AIS-TIS, you can see your client's GST turnover in Income Tax AIS-TIS. Where does this information come from? So answer, GST Department shares information. Same way Income Tax Department can also share the information, but only CBDT has the power to disclose any information concerning assessee to an officer or authority under any other law. With that, this chapter comes to an end, but would like to show you some important point from examination purpose. Keep it in your mind. Making a brief comparison between these 4-5 sections, whether books of accounts can be seized under these 5 sections or not. under which of these sections books of accounts can be seized, under which of these section assets can be seized, and if books of accounts can be seized, then for how many days can it be retained. 131 section, which is actually a part of previous chapter, income tax authority, last section of that chapter. Here books of accounts can be, here officer doesn't come to you, unlike search. Here officer will call you, you come to us with books of accounts documents, he will issue summons. Then whatever books of accounts documents are produced by assessee, those can be retained for 15 working days. 15 working days. Assets cannot be seized. Here they cannot call you with assets, only books of account document. 132 and 132A, search and requisition. 132, here books of accounts documents can be seized. If you recollect, can be retained for 30 days from, but 30 days not from the date of seizure, not from the date of conclusion of search, 30 days from the date on which proceedings of assessment reassessment are completed. 30 more days, and with the approval of higher authority, more than 15 working days or more than 30 days they can retain if two conditions are satisfied: prior approval of higher authorities and reasons are recorded in writing. Assets can be seized. This is the only section 132 132A where assets can also be seized. 133, that is 133(6), which is also called requisition, but ideally it is power to call for information which is needed for any proceeding which is pending under the Income Tax Act. Here books of accounts documents cannot be called upon, so time limit does not apply. Assets out of question. If books of accounts cannot be called upon, assets next to impossible. 133A1, out of 3 surveys I am picking up only the first one, because the remaining 2 surveys, function, ceremony, event related and TDS related surveys, there they don't have power to seize books of accounts documents or assets. No powers are available except of recording statement. 133A1 normal survey, they can seize books of account documents, can retain for 15 working days. Extension possible with 2 conditions fulfilled. Assets cannot be. 133B door-to-door survey. 133B questionnaire in form 45D, maximum 1000 rupee penalty, 14 questions. Here no powers are available, therefore time limit is out of question. In case you want to take a screenshot, you can pause the video, do the needful. If you observe, assets can be seized only in one section, that is 132 search or 132A requisition from third party, from other officer authority under any other law. That's it. With that, this chapter comes to an end. Revision of this chapter. See you in the next video with some other chapter.